What's up, y'all? We back to this channel will be named later, aka Bell, aka Energy Forever. This time we're watching Swagkage. This is where the title go. How strong is Naruto without Kurama? He should be still pretty strong. Because even without Kurama, he got what's it called? Six path. He got Sage mode, Toad Sage mode. He's still a Uzamaki. So he still has a lot of chakra. So he could still do insane shadow clones. Maybe not to the same extent, but he's still a Uzumaki, so he can still do a lot of shadow clones. Maybe 100 instead of, because even as a young kid, he could dish out 1,000, 2,000 easily. But that was with the Fox. That was with Kurama. So it might not be 2,000s, but it might be a few hundred, or maybe just 100. But yeah, Sage mode by itself, super powerful. Six paths by itself, super powerful. So without the Fox, he should still be top tier in the verse. He should still be pretty up there. But we gonna see what Swagkage got to say about it. So let's go ahead and get into it, man.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Swagkage here, and today, so the video topic should be fairly obvious given the title, and unlike last time, I brought my boy Seth with me. Say hello to everybody.
Hello.
So,
We got a collab.
Yeah, I promised that I would do something like this at the end of last week's video, and Seth and I have actually talked about this quite a bit.
Whenever Seth and Swag get together, you already know it's about to be some fucking shit.
Because there are a lot of reasons why. First of all, Naruto hasn't really done anything since he lost Kurama. And also, Boruto, Dragon Ball Super's been like this too. Like the new gen.
Wait a second. He actually lost Kurama? I don't watch Boruto, so this is news to me. These are probably all spoilers, but I doubt I'm going to watch Boruto. Maybe when it finally pick up after 5 seasons, I don't know. But he actually lost Kurama in Boruto? I thought this was just a hypothetical question. I didn't know this was like a real thing that happened.
Sequel, anime, manga have I don't know if you've talked about this in previous videos already, but they do this weird.
Who the fuck is that?
Intentional ambiguity.
The cyborg?
And
what's with his fingers?
Increase conversation or whatever.
Yeah.
The hell is that nigga?
Good example of this. I'll give you a great example, actually. There was an interviewer who, this is for Dragon Ball Super, but it's related because it's basically the new shonen mentality to be ambiguous. I think it's their current strategy. But with Dragon Ball, there was an interviewer who was like, "Who wins, Vegito Blue, who is a fusion character in Dragon Ball, versus Beerus, who's another big Dragon Ball character?" And the author literally says, "Well, this character seems to think that perhaps he's above him, but who knows if he's right." that was his answer. So they really don't, whenever they see people argue about anything, they love to leave it ambiguous. I don't know if they like to farm YouTube videos or what off of it, but yeah, the same thing is for Six Paths Naruto as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see some ambiguity with how strong this new Naruto is as well.
Yeah, I mean,
So this is really a real thing.
Everybody's been arguing since
he actually lost Kurama.
Just this movie dropped, but since the last came out about whether or not Naruto still has his Six Paths powers.
Yeah.
And so as you can imagine, like if people can't even agree on what Naruto could still do before the nerf, when something as major as him losing the whole entire Nine Tails happened,
damn, that's crazy.
There's gonna be a lot of
it's major spoilers,
disagreement, theorizing, and whatever about it. Now, let me get one thing out of the way. I don't know which of you started this. I don't know if it was a collective thing, but this he's pain level thing needs to stop. Just I don't want to hear more about it. It is just not true at all.
People actually think he's pain level?
He has less
base
than his first battle with Naruto versus Sasuke, bro.
Hold on. Let's think about this. I never heard that argument before. Pain, so six pack, so basically he's Renegon level. essentially, because that's what pain is a Rinnegan divided up into separate bodies. So people think that base Naruto is Rinnegan level, Nagato Rinnegan level, pain level. He do have he has Sage mode, right? Toad Sage. Like they just mentioned, it's up in the air, but he still got 6 paths. I tend to think he do, even though he don't use the chakra balls or the staff anymore. But I just tend to think he do because it's never been stated that he doesn't have it. So why wouldn't he have it anymore? So if he's still got 6 paths, then that has all the powers of the Rinnegan. So he should definitely be more powerful than pain level. But if we're just talking about base without Sage amp, without 6 paths amp, would a base Naruto beat Nagato or pain? That's actually, I can see how you would think that. So if we're just going off base, right? So if we're not talking about him using Toad Sage, or we're not talking about him using 6 paths, if base Naruto were only Shadow Clones and Rasengans and Rasen Shurikens, can that Naruto defeat pain? Rasen Shurikens definitely can defeat pain. His reaction time is way better, as you saw from the last movie. His fighting skills is better, as you saw from the last. And that was before he was Hokage. Rasen Shurikens definitely are killing pains because it was killing pains back when he was using Toad Sage. When they first fought. So he can definitely use Rasen Shurikens more. He can still do Shadow Clones. And just fucking Rasen Shuriken barrage that shit. Like, I don't know. I think base Naruto could fight pain. Like base Hokage Naruto. I think base Hokage Naruto is pain level. That's a good assessment. Because if you take pain and then say, all right, take pain and then give him Toad Sage and then give him 6 paths and then give him Kurama, all those 3 amps would, I think that'll put him to the level of where Naruto is at now. So yeah, base Naruto with nothing else but Shadow Clones and Rasengans should be pain level. I agree with that. I had to think it through, but I agree with that.
One-tailed Naruto's giving him the hands.
There's a really easy way to prove that, as long as you don't think that the Nine Tails is just massively, like, to an unreasonable extent, buffing Naruto's power in base, which I don't agree with. I don't think the Nine Tails makes him stronger in base at all. But anyway, an easy way to disprove this is when fighting Momoshiki. And now, I recently read the Boruto manga in its entirety. And when I first started talking to Seth about this, I remembered what I'm about to reference a little bit differently. I thought that Naruto in base fought regular base Momoshiki, and Momoshiki was using 50% of his power. But actually, and he did way better than any of the other 4 Kage. Like, he was actually, they were relative. If I didn't know these 2 characters and I saw this fight, I'd get the impression that they were going back and forth. One wasn't massively stronger than the other or anything, right?
I mean, and it was interesting because even though that Momoshiki was probably suppressed and didn't feel the obligation to stress himself out and go all out on everyone around him, the power he was still using was enough to basically one-shot every Kage there.
Yeah. At the very least, Naruto should still be stronger than all of the other 4 Kage. There are a lot of people who seem to doubt that still. Think that
and base. This is all base. This ain't amp. This ain't Sage mode. This is base.
Naruto should still be able to, like, They were all afraid of him before this, and that should still be the case. Just based on this Momoshiki interaction, and everybody knows this already, but just to go over it very quickly, Momoshiki, especially fused Momoshiki, should at least be sort of relative-ish to Kaguya, right? Now, like we mentioned earlier, this is vague. The statements used to describe Momoshiki and his power relative to Kaguya aren't as concrete as I would like them to be. He and Kinshiki as a pair, I should say, are just referred to as a threat greater than Kaguya. But if Weaso should be way stronger than any version of his teenage self, except for the Six Paths Asura mode one, even considering the fact that Momoshiki was holding back significantly, like Seth said, obviously I don't think that this was right here, but the fact that Naruto was able to trade blows, avoid attacks from any level of power of this fusion Momoshiki is insane.
I think a good way to scale Naruto as well is you can probably scale him to the other Kage, pretty basically.
Yeah.
The reason I say this is, after Naruto gets nerfed, we get 3 statements about his power.
Okay.
We have the Kage, who analyzed his current ability. We have Sasuke stating his current ability. And we have Sakura, who calculates his ability. So the Kage say that we can't even be sure if he can take down an Otsutsuki without Kurama. So the Otsutsukis we've seen so far are Momoshiki, Kinshiki, Kaguya, and there's Urashiki, but I don't think he's canon to the manga, so
yeah.
Can them niggas take down a fucking Otsuki? Why they talking down to him like that? Oh, we don't know if you could take down Otsuki. Nigga, all y'all teamed up together can't take down one Otsuki, nigga. What y'all worried about Naruto for, man?
I don't know. It's even some people are telling me even to the anime he's not canon.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Urashiki. I just act like he doesn't exist and move on with my life. But yeah. So
makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. So the current debate then is, could Naruto not take down Kinshiki in base? Well, Kinshiki was able to defeat the one Kage, and they had to team up on him. And even then, he was able to somewhat blow out of their trap they made for him when they 3v1'd him. Even with Sasuke Chidoring him from the back, when Sasuke still has his full powers, wasn't enough to take him down. And I think 4 Kage plus Sasuke jumped him to trap him.
Yep, that's exactly what happened, actually.
So if Naruto's weaker than that, I mean, I don't know if that's really a bad thing. I mean, it takes 4 Kage with Sasuke with his full powers jumping him to take him down.
The other thing about that too is they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't speak very definitively about it. But yeah, go ahead.
So with Sasuke's statement, he says he doesn't think that Naruto currently can take down Momoshiki if he revives. So the thing with Momoshiki is that we do not know if he kept his fusion powers or not. I hope they don't keep this ambiguous, but they might be. When you see, Momoshiki inside Boruto's little Jinchuriki world, Momoshiki looks like he's in base form.
So Momoshiki, possess Boruto?
Momoshiki as well. So we don't know if he's like fusion Momoshiki still, or has the same power level. He just looks like base. But there's also the other argument that when you resurrect through a karma or a vessel, you're stronger than before. So the Momoshiki that revives through Boruto could be stronger than the original Momoshiki. And we never really saw Momoshiki get defeated. We just saw him running from the Kage. So he's just going to be stronger than that now. So we have no idea how exactly strong he is. He's implied to be above Kinshiki in power, and we know what Kinshiki did.
Yep.
So if base Naruto can't take down Borushiki, I don't think that's really an anti-feat either. The other thing I'd like to bring up, I think this is the most important thing for me personally.
Okay, what's that?
When Sakura analyzes his power, she says, you're not going to have that superhuman, insane chakra anymore.
Right.
And you probably can't fight as well as you used to. But she doesn't... The problem with this statement is she doesn't say, oh, Naruto, you're completely irrelevant weaker than base Jiraiya, you're weaker than Konohamaru, you probably should step down. You're not even a top dog at the Leaf Village. You're like average Jonin level. She doesn't make these types of declarations, you know what I mean? She never makes the statement, "Oh, you're completely irrelevant." And Naruto doesn't say, "Oh wow, I can't fight at all anymore." He just says it's gonna be hard to fight like I used to. And that whole 7th Hokage title I had, which is basically Shinobi God, will be a lot harder to maintain in the current Boruto era. So to say Naruto's just complete fodder, like he'd be like Pain level, is very disingenuous. I don't think that's being narratively implied through any statement.
How the fuck they take Kurama out and he didn't die? When they did the extraction, the Katsuki did the extraction, Gara died. Whenever they extracted a tail beast, the Jinchuriki died. So how did Naruto's Jinchuriki get extracted? Y'all let me know in the comments how Kurama got extracted out of Naruto. And why is he still okay? Was it the same process? Was it a different process? I don't know. Y'all let me know.
I don't think that's being narratively implied through any statement.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing too that's worth keeping in mind is that when Naruto fought Pain, and even a decent bit into the war, he knew like 3 jutsu. And we know that at this point, he's expanded his arsenal massively. Like,
has he?
He knows Earth Style, for example.
yeah, exactly.
And it's possible. I'd even go so far as to say that it's likely that he still has all of the Kekkei Genkai elemental abilities that he got from being Jinchuriki of all the other Biju.
It's possible.
It is weird because I've seen a lot of people claim or argue that Kurama was like the catalyst for them showing up and him drawing on their chakra, but nothing like this is ever really stated. And even if it is the case, we've seen Sasuke manage to do a sort of pseudo ice release thing by using wind release to cool water he creates. Now, he says it's inferior to actual ice style jutsu, but considering the fact that Naruto has experience,
that's some smart shit.
Lava style, magnet style,
using wind style to cool down water style to kind of make ice. That's some smart shit.
Then that he should be able to do the same thing. So he should still be able to do all this crazy like magma style, magnet style, Rasengan, Rasen Shuriken, whatever. He doesn't have Biju bombs and stuff anymore, but he should still be able to make a whole lot of shadow clones and stuff too. One thing that I would like to point out is that when Naruto was training to learn, or to create, I should say, the Rasen Shuriken, Kakashi made a point to highlight the fact that Yamato was completely suppressing the Nine Tails chakra. This training.
Right.
This was a much weaker Naruto. He was like 15, and the Naruto we're talking about here is in his 30s. So he's had a lot of time to grow and make his body stronger just naturally and through training. And with the Nine Tails chakra fully suppressed, Naruto was still able to fill up the whole training field with clones in order to cut his training time down by hundreds and hundreds of times. So all of the crazy like shadow clone, insane amount of chakra summoning feats that he was able to do before, he should still be able to do even in base, because one thing that the series makes clear is that there are a lot of points where Naruto is fighting to conceal or suppress Kurama's chakra so that Kurama doesn't take him over. When he's using Sage Mode specifically, actually, he's not able to use Kurama's chakra at all. As a matter of fact, trying to use both of them together causes Kurama to disrupt his ability to gather natural energy, and he's just not able to enter Sage Mode in the first place. It's actually like a big deal when Naruto is able to combine using Kurama's chakra with Sage Mode. So we can safely say that not having the Nine Tails when he was fighting Pain, for example, or when he was using Sage Mode really at any point, even against like Obito, for example, it didn't really make a difference. And the reason this is relevant here is that in like base non-Nine-Tail Sage mode, then that should mean that Naruto's not any weaker now after losing the Nine Tails than he would have been entering Sage mode.
One of the arguments I see as well is that
makes sense.
Kurama's chakra was specifically sealed by Minato in a way where Kurama's chakra would fuse with base Naruto's, which would amplify it and become his own chakra. However, I would actually make one of the arguments that Naruto, even after losing Kurama, would have kept those increases.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this as well, but as an example, Ginkaku and Kinkaku, even as Edo Tensei, after dying, their souls were inflicted by this, basically. The souls of Kinkaku and Ginkaku, just from eating Kurama's guts in his body, were able to use Kurama chakra. Not just.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, what's more likely? For Naruto's base chakra to retain its amp, or its base level that became his own chakra, after living with him his whole life and becoming one being, or for Ginkaku and Kinkaku to be able to go version 2 Nine-Tails cloak by eating intestines from Kurama, and then post-death, after dying, they can still use this power. So I'm not saying that Naruto can use Kurama chakra. I'm just saying it is very likely that his amplified base chakra.
Yeah, if that's the case, which I forgot about, he got to keep the power. You got to keep the amp.
Since, Gaara kept a lot of abilities from Shukaku, which Kishimoto points out as well, even after losing him, etc. So a lot of characters do retain abilities. Madara retained his Sharingan abilities even when he was blind. So there's a lot of abilities and things in Naruto that once they're a part of you, you do tend to retain, such as even Obito, after dying and going to the afterlife, retained Six Paths chakra that wasn't even his to give to Kakashi, as an example. So there is a good argument that base Naruto was probably not that nerfed. Now, you could say Kurama can't amplify base Naruto more. However, I don't think Naruto and base got any weaker, per se.
Run it across his arms, or just make the cloak or whatever. He can't use the big avatar, no Biju bombs. But all the stuff that he could do without Kurama, he can still do. It's not like he's been completely crippled or anything like that. Now,
he still got Toe Sage.
The other thing I wanted to get into, I don't know how important this is, but should we get into, does he still have 6 paths, or...
Yeah, sure, you can go for it, because it's weird, right? Like, I talked about it a little bit with his, like, Kekkei Genkai abilities before, but yeah, you can get into some of, like, the other details if you want.
So this is for one, if you believed he even had 6 paths to begin with.
Yeah.
The question is, would he still be able to use 6 paths? Because 6 paths isn't necessarily, it's not like a Nine-Tails ability, it's more like a Senjutsu kind of ability, right? Well, the problem with 6 paths is that in the Ishiki fight, Naruto seems to imply that 6 paths is made by fusing Kurama and Naruto's chakra. He kind of makes that implication that their energy serves as kernels to make a 6 paths form. So even if Naruto could use 6 paths, maybe he could use it, but it's possible due to the much smaller chakra reserves that it would be weaker, maybe, if he could use it. But it does seem to be implied that Kurama is needed. The other problem, too, is that we know that Naruto's link to the other tailed beast was heavily implied to be Kurama by Hagoromo. Kurama stated Naruto to link Naruto to the other tailed beast. However, even base Naruto, at the end of the Sasuke fight, while all the other Biju are locked away in Chubaku Tensei and Hagoromo didn't really give that order, Naruto still had all the other Biju's chakra. And we know that the Biju all gave him their chakra while Naruto was all connected to them in a weird world where they all put their hands on his. So that's another ambiguous thing. Does he have, connection to those Biju? Does that connection to those Biju help give him 6 paths powers? So he either does not have 6 paths, or he more than likely has a nerfed 6 paths. Even more nerfed than people probably already thought. So that's my opinion.
The whole thing about 6 paths is that he don't use any powers of the 6 paths anymore. Like, I know when he has Toe Sage, he's supposed to have a little orange makeup by his eye. But when he has 6 paths in the war, he in the war art he didn't have the little orange mark by his eye, but he still had the eyeball, and that let us know that okay, he's in six paths mode. So now he still don't have that orange mark by his eye. So it's like, do he have six paths or don't he? But it's like if he do still have six paths, he doesn't use any of the abilities of six paths. Six paths allowed him to basically use the powers of the Rinnegan. Essentially, I mean, right? Because he used planetary devastation, didn't he? I believe. If I'm remembering right, he did use planetary devastation before. And then the chakra orbs, chakra balls. Like he just don't use any of the abilities anymore. So it's like, does he still have it? I don't know. It's up in the air. But it's like, man, just tell us. Just tell us. We want to know, man. Just tell us.
I also think the idea that Kurama was like responsible for his six paths form is supported by the fact that in the Sasuke fight, when Sasuke starts powering up his Susanoo and gets ready to fire Indra's arrow, it's not Naruto who starts gathering the Senjutsu chakra nature energy, but Kurama. Kurama lets Naruto know he gathered as much nature energy for him as possible, and Naruto didn't really seem to take the initiative to do it himself at all. So it might be something that only Kurama could do, or like you were saying, it might be possible for Naruto to gather six paths Sage Chakra, but it would just be significantly harder, and the volume that he could handle would be a lot smaller.
A good example of this is, just how Sage Mode works. Sage Mode works by you combine a equal proportion of Senjutsu chakra to your normal chakra, and that creates Sage Mode. Well, if you're KCM2 Hagoromo amped, your chakra pool is probably a lot larger than it is normally, so you can absorb a proportionally large amount of Senjutsu chakra.
Right.
We don't normally like putting numbers to stuff here in videos like this, just because of how vague, especially in this case, right? Like how strong Naruto is after losing Kurama. We still don't know everything, but I think in this case,
this little toy kind of fire.
Appropriate. Now, bear in mind, I'm not saying this for sure, but it might be a good starting point. In the Rasen Shuriken training I mentioned earlier, Kakashi actually lets us know the difference between Naruto's chakra and the Nine Tails chakra, roughly speaking anyway. He says that normally, like inherently, Naruto has 4 times as much chakra as him. And now, Kakashi's total chakra pool is not relevant for this analysis at all. I'd like to just focus on the 4 times here. So just pretend he just said Naruto's chakra is 4, right? Don't worry about Kakashi. Let's not compare the two. He then says if Yamato wasn't fully suppressing the Nine Tails throughout this training, then Naruto's chakra reserves would be more like 100 times. So now 100 could be rough. It could be like anywhere from like 90 to 120. We don't really know, but I'll just say 100 for the sake of simplicity.
Okay.
This would imply a difference of like 25 times between Naruto's chakra by itself and Naruto's chakra with the Nine Tails assistance. So if you agree with Seth's analysis there, then that having more chakra would therefore make your Sage Mode stronger, then 6-path Sage Mode Naruto with no Kurama could very well be...
This music kind of making me sleepy.
...that he is maybe like 25 times weaker than he was before.
Yeah, I don't really know what else there is to say other than that, unless you want to get into things like could Naruto beat Sakura or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he could.
Yeah, he probably could, just because I think Sakura could beat base EMS Valley of the End Madara. Doesn't mean I think that she could beat Naruto.
I reacted to that video too, the video that he's referencing. This Sasuke versus Madara, I reacted to that. Look for it on the channel.
From Boruto, I don't think that Sakura is the strongest ninja ever now.
I don't think I'll make too much of a direct statement on it, but I will say this. Sakura had an objective. She whipped out like a scouter that could read Naruto's current power level. And she didn't say, "Oh wow, even I could beat you now, Naruto." You know what I mean? So
which she would have said, by the way.
Yeah,
that's
probably would have said it
for Sakura.
Yeah, so I will say probably unlikely. I think Sage Naruto probably still is stronger, but
see, look, in this scene, this is Hokage Naruto. He's in Sage mode. He has the orange mark on his eyes. In the other pictures of Hokage Naruto, when he's in Sage mode plus Kurama mode, he doesn't have the orange marks. Which in the war arc of Naruto, not Boruto, in the war arc of Naruto, that was an indicator of 6 paths. So you can see clearly in this Toad Sage. Earlier in the video, it was a lot of images of him with the Toad Sage eyes, but not the Toad Sage eye marks. Could be 6 paths, man. We don't know, man. It's very ambiguous.
You never know. So
you never know.
So it's definitely vague. There are a lot of different ways to interpret how powerful Naruto is at this point, and I'd say that a lot of them are valid, unless you think that he's like pain level. He's he's just not.
Yeah, he's not pain level, bro. he's at least current Kage level, so we can agree to that.
Yeah, like Seth said, I think that's all there really is to say about it. So if you have any questions,
the real question is, how strong is Pain relative to the current Kage? Because I feel like Pain would kind of beat up the current Kage. I ain't gonna hold you. Not gonna hold you. Like, could Pain beat up what's the name? Tsunade? Could Pain beat Tsunade? I would say yes, he has a lot more hacks. Could Pain beat Gaara? Gaara from back then in the show? Most definitely. Gaara now? I don't know. I haven't seen Boruto, man. Y'all gotta let me know. Let me know who y'all think will win. Pain or the current Kage? I don't even know if I should allow them to jump that nigga or not. 1v1. 1v1 the Kage versus Pain. And let me know who will win that in the comments, man.
Any thoughts of your own, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you have any ideas for future videos you'd like me to make.
Which reminds me, if you got any ideas for future videos, also let me know. I'm going to react to those too, if you put a comment down below. But yeah, man, that was How Strong is Naruto Without Kurama from Swag and Seth as a guest feature. We out, y'all. That's the end of the video.